another session of AP Human Geography with Mr. Elrod. Well, as you can tell, it's the end of the year. Things are starting to get wrapped up. You guys should be taking the Human Geography exam in a couple of days on Friday, May the 18th. So I just want to do a couple of things today. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been watching the channel throughout the year, who's been providing me and leaving me some helpful feedback, who've been liking, subscribing, and all those types of things, just generally interacting with the channel. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for doing that. One thing I would like to ask you to do, if you wouldn't mind, if you know anybody that's going to be taking the class next year, if you wouldn't mind maybe suggesting the channel to them, showing it to them so that way they can use that as a resource. Hopefully you found most things on the site helpful. And so if you wouldn't mind passing that along to your friends as they go to take the test next year and the class next year. So once again, thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching, for subscribing, commenting, liking all the different videos, things like that. So that's the first thing I want to do. Just thank you so much, and certainly good luck to you as you take the test on Friday. So the last thing that I want to do is, before we sign off for the year, I want to leave you guys with a couple of tips as you go into the AP exam. Alright guys, so again, just a couple of tips as you go into the AP exam. Tip number one is going to be, please make sure that you answer all of the questions on the multiple choice portion of the test. Actually, answer all the questions on all parts of the test. But anyway, really you want to make a concerted effort to make sure that you get through all the multiple choice questions on the test. Now, if you haven't been told before, you get an hour for 75 questions. That means you have about 48 seconds a question to work through the test. For most people, that should be plenty of time. But if you happen to find yourself at the very end of the test and you've only got a couple of minutes left and you have several questions left, make sure that you get an opportunity to fill in those answers, because the way the test is a little bit different than the past. There is no deduction of points if you answer wrong. So really there's no penalty for guessing on the question. So really just to give yourself the best opportunity to do the best possible, have the best possible performance on the test, you've got to make sure that you get through all of those questions. The second piece of advice I want to leave you with is going to be on FRQs. As you go into the FRQ portion of the test, you're going to have 75 minutes to answer 3 questions, so you have about 25 minutes per question. As soon as you get your book and as soon as you are permitted to in the test, go ahead and open the booklet. First thing that you should do is you should look through all 3 questions. Okay? You don't necessarily have to answer the first question first. So after you looked at all 3 questions, settle on the question that you feel the most comfortable with and go ahead and answer that question. Then go to the question that you feel the next most comfortable with, answer that question, and then do the one you feel the least comfortable with. Save that for very last. The reason you want to do that is because you want to get as many possible points in the FRQ, and you want to make sure that you have enough time to really finish the ones that you feel the most comfortable with. The one that you maybe don't feel as comfortable with, you're not going to get as many points on it. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time. You don't want to waste a whole lot of time really trying to conjure up an answer. Just do the best you can. Make sure that you answer the question as best as possible so that you can collect as many points. And on that point, make sure that you don't leave any of the FRQs blank. Guys, really what you have to understand is that even if you're not 100% certain of the answer, you have to at least give your best effort. The only way that you're going to be able to pass the exam is if you do the best that you can so that you can pick up some points here or there. Just for example, a couple of years ago, there was a question on the test, and it was asking you to determine whether 2 different states were a federal or a unitary state. And so if I remember correctly, the question was asking between the 2 states, which of them was a unitary state. And students got 1 point for putting 1 word, and that word was Japan. Students could have gotten a point for just putting 1 word, and that was Japan. So if you didn't at least try, then you get no points. If you put 1 word down, you can get Japan. And if you look at the statistics that are available for you on the College Board website, what you actually find is that on FRQ scores, the average score on most of the questions is way less than half. Typically, it's maybe, about a third. They get about a third of the points available to them. Okay, so if you are able to at least get better than the average on those questions, and you're putting yourself in a really good position in order to pass the test. Okay, still on FRQs, another recommendation that I have as a reader, what we readers really like to see. Now, it's not gonna change your scoring, but what we really like to see is that you format your FRQs correctly. Most FRQs will have an A, B, and C part. Some of them will have a D part. Label them A, B, and C, and then answer those questions like they're formatted in the question. Makes it a lot easier for us as a reader to read through the question, to figure out where exactly you're trying to answer the questions. And so that really helps us in the scoring. And again, it's not necessarily going to change your score, but it makes things a lot easier for us. And if you have points that are in there, it makes it a lot easier for us to find those things. And lastly, you have to understand with the FRQs, you only have 25 minutes per question. Make sure that you're not spending more than 25 minutes per FRQ to give yourself plenty of time to answer all of the questions. So if you have time at the very end, go back and maybe fill in some of the information, some additional information, look back over your questions to make sure that you put in everything that you wanted to. So there you have it, guys. Just a couple of suggestions as you guys head into the AP exam. I wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you next time.